Nigeria is again the focus of my program today. I'm going to look at the Naira against the dollar. I'm also going to look at the Nigerian educational system, the tertiary university system, because this is a time here in America that we're having graduations and celebrations for our young ones. But it's not the same in Nigeria. So those are my two issues that I would be discussing today. So welcome to Point Blank. My name is Patrick Omo-Osagie. Welcome back. This is Point Blank. This is your weekly regular show where I take on issues around the world, but especially Nigerian issues, because that is my background. Today, like I said, I'm going to be talking about the Naira against the dollar and also about Nigerian university system, what the problems are and why we don't seem to even just have a regular school calendar. But before I start, let me again introduce this program to you and how you can get to watch this program. You can watch it on MBCLiveTV.com anytime, anywhere. You can tweet at me at PJ-Osagie or hashtag Pointblank. These are all the avenues or ways you can reach us or watch us. So let me start with my very first issue, the rise and fall of the Naira against the dollar. Yes, why is the Naira, the Nigerian Naira, so volatile? It rises and falls at the whim of anything. We don't seem to have had a good hold on what is going on. Now, under simple economics, it's about demand and supply. It's about its availability, or the dollar's availability within our system that allows our own currency fluctuate. But here is one of the things we're going to really look deeply at, why that happens. So I'm going to take another quick break because I want to be able to show you some graphics of how the Naira has risen and fallen in the last 1 year. So we'll do that and we'll come back and discuss this. The graphic you just saw is pretty clear and explanatory. It shows you from month to month or from quarter to quarter how the Naira has fallen against the dollar. Now, is it the fault of the system? Is it what we're doing that is creating this for the Naira to be so unpredictable? But simple economics normally says that, when you demand something, it becomes a little bit scarce. And I think the Nigerian economy is highly dependent on the dollar. We do import a lot of things using the dollar, and so I think that is what has created the Naira to be so unstable in our system. But what are we to do about it? What is the government doing about it? We have the IMF and the World Bank at the neck of our president. They want the Naira to float. Now that is when they use the word float, they mean that it should let it attain its own price, just like water will find its level. Now, others argue, and even the president himself has argued that he would not allow the Naira float. But others do argue that it creates, not allowing the Naira to find its own level in the marketplace allows for a lot of, they're not calling it corruption, but they become a lot of loopholes. And that is where I really come in, and that is really the angle I really want to address. There are a lot of loopholes when the Naira is not allowed to float. So I'm going to start with this. The Nigerian government really subsidizes the dollar. In the Nigerian banks today, if you carry a Nigerian bank credit card, you are allowed to spend $200 a day outside the country because the Nigerian government, through the central bank, is going to pay Visa or MasterCard or have an exchange rate on that card at $1.99. Let's call it $200 to 200 Naira to $1. When in the outside, the black market rate is anything from 320 to 360. But we have a stable central bank rate at 199, 200. I have noticed this. Every friend of mine that comes into America today comfortably spends his Nigerian card because it's cheaper. He's spending $200 a day at 200 Naira for $1, when the real rate in the open market is well over 300. So the government is subsidizing, again, a few people. You might not look at it that way, but that's what the government is doing. I've heard of instances now that people are coming into this country with multiple cards from friends, and they're collecting $200 a day in the 10 days they are sitting down here. That's $2,000. They take that back home and sell that at over 300 and put that same money back in their account, and they can collect dollars again. It's a mistake to do that. There's nothing they're doing that is criminal. It's a loophole, and they're running through that hole like crazy. Everybody that I know that comes from Nigeria today is just basically flaunting his card. Even though it's $200 a day, but $200 a day that you are being subsidized. That is really the issue. The government is subsidizing a few Nigerians who can travel abroad and use their card, their bank-issued card. It's a legal transaction. But this kind of subsidies is what the government cannot afford because it's, again, for a few people. We've subsidized fuel for a long time. We've finally come to the realization that subsidies don't work. That's not the kind of thing you subsidize. We're subsidizing consumption. It's the same thing. The government is subsidizing people spending $200 a day here in America, while the floating rate of the dollar or the black market rate of the dollar is well over 300 Naira. We're going to continue to stay broke if we do things like this. But again, that is what the government wants to do. Either the fear of devaluing our money is what is putting the government in this kind of a precarious situation, or a lack of understanding of free currencies. I believe the Nigerian Naira should be allowed to float. But before I even give you more reasons for that, let me take a quick break and come back and explain that. Again, remember, my Twitter handle is Omo-Osagie, or the program. You can tweet at the program at #Pointblank, or you can watch us anytime, anywhere on MBCLiveTV.com. So I'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Point Blank, and my name is Patrick Omo-Osagie. I've been talking about the Naira against the dollar. It's obviously, for most Nigerians, it's always a big issue, whether you live here in America or you're back at home or you're visiting from Nigeria into America. The Naira and dollar is always an issue for us. For those of us that live here, this is really a great time to send money home. I mean, $100 today, in anybody's account in Nigeria is about 32,000 Naira. This is almost double of what it would have cost to send money home last time. This time last year. This time last year, the Naira was about 188. or 180 Naira to $1. Now we're at almost well over 300. So this is a great time to send money home. But that is not really the issue I'm bringing to you. The issue I'm bringing to you is that why do we continue to subsidize things in Nigeria? The Naira today is a subsidy against the dollar. As far back as 1980, when I was fortunate enough as a university student in Nigeria to visit the United States, I remember I took my mother's check of 1,000 Naira into a First Bank office. And I came out with 1,700 plus US dollars in traveler's checks. I visited America for about a month. And I came home and I knew we had a serious problem. The America I had visited that had a weaker currency than the Nigerian Naira was so much different, better than anything I had seen. And I wondered, how then is the Nigerian currency stronger than the dollar? We've been subsidizing our money forever. It is what is putting us in trouble, and we continue to argue against devaluing the money. It is high time the government realizes simple economic principles of demand and supply. Yes, the dollar is in very high demand in Nigeria. The more reason why it should not be subsidized. Let it find its level. Everybody wants the dollar. We've known people getting money from the banks in order to buy toothpick. Toothpick. People can live without toothpick, but we do that. We've known people who, the government actually used to give people money or subsidize their money because they want to pay for a child's school fees abroad. How many people go to school abroad from the Nigerian system? And why the government should then give them an advantage to pay for their children's school fees? These are the areas that we've wasted money. Even the same thing, getting a subsidy to go to treat yourself in India is not beneficial to the system. It is wrong. I'm not saying people should not be able to take care of themselves, but for heaven's sake, how many people get to do that? We always say that the government is there to do the most good to the greater number of people, not to a selected few. How many people travel in Nigeria? About 2 million Nigerians travel out of the country in a year. I know our traveling population, our traveling number is about 10 million, but 2 million is the real number because most of them are repeat travelers. So the government is subsidizing 2 million people against 180. This is the kind of thing that ruins an economy. These are the kind of things that ruins even your family budget. And that is why we're in this kind of trouble today. Let me take another break. When I come back, I will wrap up this. But remember, I did say just a minute ago that the government is used to subsidize people that had children in schools abroad. Because at that, just before now, those parents were able to buy the dollar at what we call a government rate. And again, how many of them are able to do that? It's a very small number. So when I finish with the Naira, I'm going to go into my other segment, which is to talk about the Nigerian university educational system. So I'll be right back. Just hang in there with me. Welcome back to Point Blank. Let me finish this issue, the Naira dollar issue, by saying this. The IMF president has visited Nigeria, I think, on 2 occasions since this new government came to power. A lot of people think they're trying to convince President Buhari on devaluing our money. But I don't think they really need to do that. I think economics should let us know what we need to do. Simple economics. I don't think anybody has a right to come in and tell us what to do. We should be able to do what benefits us. Now, what is it against devaluing our money? I see really no hardship, let's put it that way. If you devalue the money, well, that means that those that genuinely need the dollar would find the right price for the dollar. Because what is happening now is that there are a lot of people that don't genuinely need the dollar, that are only taking advantage of the situation when you have a two-tier money system. Again, every friend of mine that has visited this country in the last several months is happy to use all his Nigerian credit cards. Why? Because they all allow him $200 a day off that card at the Nigerian government rate. They can spend as much dollar or accumulate as much dollar as they want. Just think about it. If you have 10 cards and you take $200 a day and you spend 10 days, 2,000 for 10 days per card times 10 cards is $20,000. You put that back into your bank in Nigeria, you made a very healthy profit. And that is not good for our system. But hey, I'm only saying what I believe. This again is my point-blank view of this situation. Let the Naira float. My second issue might be related and not related to the Naira, but here is what I know. We are in a period of graduation and celebration here in America. A lot of our kids are graduating from American universities. Already, I think I have 3-4 invitations to attend graduations in this next couple of weeks. That's not the case in Nigeria. We have, first of all, an unbalanced university calendar. But why is it that our university calendar is unbalanced? When I went to university many months ago in Nigeria, we started this session in September. And we usually finished in July. Maybe there are a few hiccups there, and we extended by a couple of weeks into early August. But at least we had a calendar. We had the Harmattan semester, and we had the rain semester. That's how it worked. But here is the problem. The reason we have these problems is because the universities cannot finance themselves. But why can't the university finance themselves? Because obviously the government doesn't have enough money. There's no amount of money the federal government can put into Nigerian universities for it to succeed. Nigerian universities, or universities in particular, has to be paid for by those who attend it. I went to University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. I paid 97 Naira every year for 4 years. 97 Naira. 97 Naira, even at that time, wasn't the cost of my attending. I was being subsidized to go to university. University is not by force, but the government subsidized my attendance in the university. You can't do that because not how many people again go to university in Nigeria? America is a very well-educated country. They have less than 25% graduates, college graduates, less than 25%. You can imagine what the numbers are in Nigeria. It will be less than 10% of our population that are graduates. Why then is the government subsidizing university education? It is that subsidy that has allowed the government to be able to fund it to the level of the universities being good schools. But I'm going to take a break here and catch my breath too, because this really bothers me, because I come and I've worked in the academic circles in America for the last 20 years. So I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I really address what is happening in the system that is wrong and needs to be corrected. So let's take that quick break and let me catch my breath. I'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Point Blank. It's your regular Thursday evening program that I'm fortunate to host. It's a program in which I really come across using my own experience, what I believe and what I know. Today I have dealt initially with the Nigerian currency, why it isn't allowed to float, and how people are, using the loophole of having a two-tier system between the Naira and the dollar. This time now I'm talking about the Nigerian educational system, especially the university system, where I believe that the system is being subsidized and it is not going to work. It is failing. I think everybody should agree. Everybody agrees with that the Nigerian university system is failing. But why is it failing? It is because there's just not enough money the government can put into it that will make it work. I've been going back to the country for a couple of years now, for actually several years, because I'm into consulting. And I've asked colleagues or friends that are in the system that what does a credit hour cost to attend a Nigerian university? There's always a blank stare. Nobody understands what the cost of a credit hour. Nobody even believes in that is how you at least can calculate what the value of education is. Anybody that goes to school here in America, the first thing you know about trying to take a course is how much a credit hour costs in a junior college or in a state university or in a private university. That is how they calculate how much it is worth to attend a college, to attend university here. We'd better get on that bandwagon in calculating what costs are before we can put out what students have to pay. I'm not advocating that, our universities should charge to make profit, but they need to charge to stay alive. One of the politicians I respected in Nigeria, Governor Fashola, when he was in Lagos State, did at one time try to increase the school fees of the Lagos State University. He did say even at that time, it wasn't for those there, it was for those that were eventually going to become students. But there was a riot. The students went on a riot. The university was closed down for months. He had to rescind that decision. But he at least at that time made an effort, a conscious effort, a calculated effort to say that school fees needed to be paid. School fees needed to be at a level to sustain development. And that is what is not happening. We can't sustain development going to school for free. The country doesn't have that kind of money. I know I'm going to get tweets back or text messages telling me that, oh, Germany, they go to school for free in Germany. That's Germany, not in Nigeria. We just don't need that kind of subsidy because we can't afford it. But here is really the last point. You have to pay to go to school. When I was in University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, like I said, I paid 97 Naira a year to attend school. But my state governor or state government, Bendel State at that time, also offered me a 600 Naira, what we call bursary award. 600 Naira. That is 6 times the amount I was paying to go to school. If the government was any wiser at that time, if they had charged 400 Naira for me to go to school, out of the 600 that my state government was given to me, I still had 200 to goof around with, because that's what we did with that money. We goofed around with the bursary awards we were given because it had no value to us. Now the country's in trouble. Now it's tough to really put in financial recommendations for students coming in that they have to pay. People will go nuts. But here is my recommendation to the government and to the Nigerian universities. We need to run a 3-tier system of funding. The federal government, the state government, and you, the student. You can't go to school for free. I know people are going to come back at me and say, well, you went to school for free. Yes, I went to school for 97 Naira a year, but I knew it was wrong. I knew it cannot be sustained. You can't do that. So the 3-tier system of funding a Nigerian student is what should take place. The federal government should stop allocating money to the universities. That money they are allocating to universities can be broken down and find a way to give it to the students directly. So students can go to whatever universities. First of all, what will happen when you do that is that a lot of universities will pack up. Then the good universities or the good departments in universities will now be able to get that federal government money. I still believe that for us a way to start is to actually value our system, a Nigerian university education, at maybe $2,000 a year. That, of course, that shouldn't include accommodation. I'm talking about tuition and all the other library fees and sports fees and all. It should be about $2,000 a year. Even at today's government rate, that is 400,000 Naira a year. So if that is what we value a typical Nigerian education at, we're talking of dividing it into 3. If the government can at least pay 200,000 of that per student, we'll be on the right track. And like I said, the state government, the state you come from, should be able to chip in something for you to go to school. But most importantly, you, the student, either through your own hard work or through your parents, or even through your village, you should be able to chip in your own part in order to go to school. We cannot afford to have free education at the university level. It can be sustained. It can never be good. We all have seen it. And as we celebrate graduations here in America, it's time to change the system in which we operate in Nigeria so that we can also start to celebrate. That was my last word. That was my point-blank view on 2 critical things happening in Nigeria: the rise and fall of the Naira, and almost the subsidized education we get at the university level. So I'll see you all next week. So bye-bye for now.